Now let's sit down and have a little chat. How are you doing, Pastor David?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. And how are you doing, Mark?
I'm well. I think this concert is going slightly above average, so I'm grateful for that.
I'm glad you're able to do this, and we're happy to have you with our family. So,
Thank you.
so what's it's been a while since I've seen you. Last time we were together was last year, and since then we've had all kinds of things going on, not just in our own lives, but as well as worldwide. And so, how have you been coping through the pandemic? What's been going on with you?
Oh man, coping well and not so well. Probably like most people. Like there's moments where you're like, okay, I'm at peace, and I'm just gonna, do my part to be really chill and mellow. And then there's other days where I'm like, I've got to get out of this place. And it's like my social life has turned into my trips to Target or the grocery store. Because virtual online Zoom stuff is fine, but it's just not the
Mm.
same. And even just being able to go to the grocery store and kind of like see actual human beings is really great. I've stayed really close in contact with my family. That's really been the thing that's been the most helpful. And I have a good church group here as well that we've been doing a lot of things virtually.
Okay.
So
That was my next question was what are you doing with your faith life through this stuff? I mean, how's that been a challenge for you?
I think there's something deeply spiritual about alone time and quiet time.
Mhm.
And you read any of the great mystics and healers and teachers throughout the centuries, and they'll all attest to the value of solitude and contemplation, and so everything in our society, it seems like it's against that. It's like turn this up a little louder, watch this, no, watch this, oh my gosh, you better watch this, you better buy this. Like there's all kinds of things that we can do to distract. But I've been trying to I've been trying to be quiet. Have found great joy in listening to lots of music, going back, to the olden days, the '80s, in the olden days, and reading some books, and I also have watched a lot of movies and things like that. But spiritually, it's been a time of needing great patience, and I don't think that's ever easy. Somebody says don't ever pray for patience
Yeah,
because it's not fun getting there.
yeah. I know one of the challenges that folks have when they're in the hospital is they want to be out right away, and I just kind of say, to each person as I leave, be a patient, and that's not easy for them. So that's understand. It's This has been a struggle for a lot of people through this period of time. Well, you're a person of hope. You that's been that's your theme that goes all around you and through your music, through your writings, through your live hope moment. There's so many ways in which you express that. Um, what's the biggest joy for you right now with all these things that you do? You've obviously you've experienced acting and you've been on TV, you've been in the movies, you've done several songs that have been on playlists, and I saw noted that your "Mary Did You Know" was on Amazon's top list for quite a period of time. That's quite a feat. So um, that's an amazing thing. So, what is it that you're focused on right now? Is any one of those things that you're working on? Are you writing? Are you working on another song? What are you doing?
Oh man, I have moments where creativity strikes, and like in the back of my head, there is a pretty well thought out album the next album I need to do,
Mhm.
that I want to do. And I think it's going to be something that it's going to be maybe more for me than for anybody. And so I think about that a lot. I have to say, I don't think the muse has been very, very present through much of this. Like it's just been, I haven't been motivated, um, or really inspired to, um, create. I've actually like pulled back from my social media interaction, just I need to take some time for myself and not feel like I have to, give to everybody all the time.
Hmm.
I just kind of want to clear out some of that in my mind. So I think that's a benefit. It, and it will be a greater benefit. Working through it is really tough, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay. So is your next CD going to be focused on Christmas, or will it be uh, something a little different?
I've done 3 Christmas CDs, David, and
Yes.
I don't, I don't ever want to say I'm never going to do another one, but the next CD is, it's actually going to be all original songs, except for one cover song, from Dan Fogelberg.
Oh, okay.
I really like
Nice.
it. Yeah, yeah. The album is called "Coming Home," and based on Henry Nouwen's talk of what it
Nice.
means to come home.
Hmm. Good. Good. That's. I'll look forward to seeing that release. That'll be exciting.
Thank you.
Uh, um, why do you have so many Christmas discs? What is the
What's my problem?
no no what is the I- obviously that has some special meaning to you, and you obviously find joy in this season. Say a little bit about that. What is it that you really find in this time of year, that you felt the need to produce three discs of Christmas music?
Yeah, some of that has been that for the past 10 years, I've been doing my Hope of Christmas tour, traveling around the country doing that. And it's been huge for me, like as far as the amount of work I put into it, but also kind of the income that I get from that has been, a majority of my income for the year. And so this is the first time not doing that, so it's a little strange. But um, so I'd say like the first one kind of started as like, oh, that would be great. Everybody has a Christmas rock record. And then as I kept doing the Christmas tour, it was this feeling of, oh my gosh, I better have some new Christmas stuff, or these people are never going to want to come back to my show again. Um, and so part of it's this just kind of like, keep pedaling the bike and keep keep giving people more of the Christmas stuff. All that to say, I do find that Christmas season is a time to speak about the gospel in ways that people are open to hearing about it during that particular time period that we're
Mhm.
in right now, more than they are at other periods of time of the year. It's like people are, oh, they're like, oh, Jesus. Yeah, of course, Jesus is in the manger. Like you can talk about God coming to earth in the form of a baby. Like these are all like really good messages that have hugely deep theological connotations. And so I love exploring that. And it's just a confluence of all those things coming together, beautiful melodies and orchestrations, um, and boy, some of these songs are so fun to sing.
One of my favorites is your Emmanuel song.
Thank
So
you.
tell me a little bit about the background of that song.
Yeah, that was the first Christmas song that pretty much from that came the first Christmas album. So um, I wrote that song because I wanted to write a song that was honest, that addressed the fact that Christmas is not the happiest time of the year for a lot of people. It might even be the most difficult time of the year for people. So it's a very dark time for a lot of people that may be feeling alone, separated, um, disconnected, broken. I wanted to acknowledge that, because I feel all those things as well,
Hmm.
and I wanted to invite God into that dark place. So I acknowledged, and then I turned it into a prayer, to ask God to come into those broken places and make things new again, and come into the darkness and be the light. These are all like incarnational, beautiful truths,
Hmm.
that we get through this Christmas story. So I wanted to hang on that, and the fact that people have heard that song in the movie The Perfect Gift that I
Yes.
also acted in. They've seen this movie all over the world, and I get the most comments from people in places like Egypt, South America, South Africa. Um, it's really incredible that this song and that beautiful movie has kind of transcended um, space and time, and has become some people's favorite movie, and that song has become some people's favorite song because they were longing for somebody to acknowledge their pain
Sure.
and yet have some hope to it. So
Well, thank you for sharing that.
yeah, thank you for
What
liking.
you're, it's easy to like your music, Mark.
Oh,
I'm just
go on, go on.
so
What was that?
happy that
Say that for the people in the back need to hear that. What? No,
yes, exactly. I enjoy your music, and
thank you.
what's fun is that when I ask, we have an Amazon Alexa, and I'll say something to Alexa, play Mark Smeby, let me be joy to the world, and she'll say playing Mark Smeby, and Judy and I crack up every time we hear her say that. So, but it's so much fun to just listen, and I'm just very thrilled that we were able to make this connection so many years ago. And I'm thankful for uh, Scott and Brian bringing us together. It's amazing how the word gets around. I mean, that's how good news gets spread around, by just simply sharing, hey, there's this person who's bringing really special music. He sang at our wedding, and we want you to hear him too. And so the rest is history. So I'm really thankful for their friendship and for their activity at the church, and for having connected with you and brought you to us. So I want to have a little fun here for a moment, Mark. And James Lipton on Inside the Actors Studio would ask a list of questions to the actors that he would be guesting, and I want to. It's a little bit of a tweak to the list, but there's still some very familiar words. So let me just kind of go through these rather quickly. Um, what
Uh-oh.
is your favorite? What is your favorite word?
Awesome.
What is your least favorite word?
Can't.
What turns you on?
A really good Minnesota Twins baseball victory.
Oh,
Is that what you meant?
yeah, yeah, yeah. What what turns you off?
Oh, arrogant people.
What sound or noise do you love?
I love the sound of a text message that's coming from my sister. She has her own particular sound.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Loud music coming through the walls when you're trying to sleep.
You have that happen often?
In the last place I lived, yes.
Okay. What is your favorite Mark Smeby song?
That's a funny question. Um, Gosh, I love Pilgrim Man. I love singing that song, and that song has ministered to me so many times. So that's just the most honest answer.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Well, I think I've done several. I've attempted several. It's all about like what plates can you keep spinning. I've thought that it would be cool to be a lawyer. Um, I thought it'd be cool to pursue the acting stuff more. Um, I also thought it might be cool to work at Best Buy. So
What profession would you not like to do?
I think working with garbage would be horrible. So please, God, don't make me ever be a garbage man person. Usually when I say no, like I don't want to do, usually that's when things happen, so I have to be careful.
Yes, yes, you have to be careful. I've found that out throughout my life that when I say, "Oh, I'm not going to do that," it's like God says, "No, you're going to go that way. That's what you're going to do." So
Yeah.
yeah, be careful. It's one of those things. Is be careful what you pray for because you may end up having it, and then you're going to say, "Why did I pray for that?" Last question: what would you like to hear God say when you arrive in heaven?
Um, wow. I think I'd really, interesting thought. I'd really like God to say, all your ancestors are waiting over here in this room. They can't wait to talk to you. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for those quick responses to those questions.
Thank you, David.
Um, I, I don't know if you would like to talk about this, but I do want to ask you about how your parents are doing. And I thought it would be good for folks to hear what's been going on. I know there are some folks that are aware of what happened, but would you mind just sharing that story a little bit?
Yeah, it's hard to talk about. It's embarrassing and it's horrific. But my parents were basically held hostage by some internet criminals and robbed of all their money in checking and savings. And there's so many. I mean, I've gone through so many emotions. With anger being a big one at about this situation, and
Mhm.
mostly anger at a bank because they literally say things like, "This happens to people all the time." Like, you should not let this happen to people. Like, there needs to be something done about this
Mhm.
because it's way too easy. As a warning to people, anytime there's a pop-up on your screen when you're on your computer asking you to call your bank, your accounts have been compromised, call your bank. Don't call the number on your computer. Or if somebody has you on the phone and they're trying to get information from you saying that they're your bank, don't give it to them. Call your bank and ask them what they need to know.
Mhm.
When you initiate, it's a lot safer than when somebody else initiates. Um, so how are we doing? We're My parents are so grateful for the outpouring of love and generosity from so many people. Many of you are watching right now, so thank you so much for that. It's hard. It's hard to deal with those feelings of why did I let this happen to myself, that my parents are going through, that kind of
Mhm.
that shame and the embarrassment and the anger. So it's a hodgepodge of emotions, um, but we're gonna make it. We've said from the beginning. No one got hurt, no one's sick. You know, so we can get through this, and we need each other, and we've got each other. So my sister and I and my parents, we're gonna we're all in this together. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, that's such a terrible situation that so many people do go through. And you're right, there's got to be a way in which to have some form of protection for vulnerable individuals, especially for those who are senior citizens. And I've had parishioners in the past who have fallen victim to the same thing. Um, yeah, I really feel badly for your folks, but also just celebrate with you the response that has been in support and care for them. And so,
Thank you.
but thank you for sharing that. I know that was not easy to do. Let's turn the page a little bit and talking about family. What is your favorite Christmas story or experience that you have that you hold with your family? Is there a tradition that you do? when you gather together, or is there something in the past that you recall that just brings warmth and wonderful memories of folks who may not no longer be with you, or of just of certain traditions that you experienced?
Yeah, that's really challenging because over the years it feels like traditions have been kind of broken and fallen by the wayside. And in our defense, we're very simple people, so we're like, hey, let's just get some food and hang out together for a little bit. Like we don't have the fancy things that people do on their tables, and um, yeah, we don't make a big deal out of it, and there's a sadness of like we don't have the old traditions of the past, but yet we still hang on to those. Like those were beautiful times. Like when I was growing up as a kid, we would drive out to South Dakota. We were living in Minneapolis at the time. We'd drive out to see my mom's family in South Dakota, and there was always like just seemed like 50 feet of snow on the ground, and my grandma Bob, she did up the decorations big time, and it just always made it really magical for us kids. They didn't have much, and but she always had a way of making things really special. Um, Whether she was like making a puppet show out of a cardboard box and some dish rags. I mean, she was super creative, and I was just in awe. And I credit her for a lot of my the permission that I've been given to be creative. So I'm
Mhm.
thankful for her. There was one thing that happened that I'll never forget. Like we would eat dinner on Christmas Eve, and then afterwards we'd go for a walk around the neighborhood, looking at lights, or driving around if it was too cold. Um, and Mom and Grandma would stay back and clean up the kitchen. And when my sister and we would get back to the door first, we'd come in, and my grandmother, don't tell anybody this, but my grandmother was at the back door with jingle bells going, "Goodbye, Santa, goodbye, Santa." Like he had just gone out the back door. And,
Uh-huh.
and so we would rush in, and there would be the tree and these presents that weren't there before. And I mean, geez, we were so spoiled. But it was magical and beautiful. And so I hope in some of these songs, that we sing, that there is a little bit of magic and some memories that we can
Mhm.
relive, even though maybe today doesn't look like we want it to look, for one reason or another. Life definitely changes, but nobody can take away our memories. So I'm
Mhm.
going to hang on to some of those.
Well, thanks for sharing that. That's those are the stories that we hold in our hearts, to the day that God calls us home. Um, you did complete a book not that long ago called Losing Control. Um, uh, Talk a little. Would you mind talking a little bit about that? How did you come about with the title, and um, tell us a little bit about the book?
Well, thank you. That's been one of my the things that I've been working on this year is uh, writing the book and doing the audio book of it as well. I just happen to have a copy right here um, in my store online as well. But I needed to write this for myself. I needed to write a book. This was before COVID. I needed to write a book that talked about how I need to lose control, how I need to let go of my desire to control everything and everyone, because it was, while I might be brilliant and smart and know the exact way things should go in order for them to be awesome, um, I find that it just leaves me feeling stressed, resentful, cynical, bitter, depressed, like mad at everybody because they're not doing what I want them to do. Um, and that was one of the reasons I left Nashville, because I was carrying a lot of that. And I'm like, I don't want to carry this anymore. And so I moved and realized that I was still carrying it. And this was something deeper than where you live kind of a thing. So I wanted to write a book about what it means to dive into surrender, to accept life on life terms, uh, what it meant to be a person of faith, what it really meant to be a person of faith that I've been claiming to be forever. Um, but finding out how control and faith don't really exist very well together. And so to hopefully get to a place where I've lost control, where I have given up my desire to be in control. I'm still in progress. Don't think I have it figured out. But like from that place of surrender and acceptance and peace, how then can I move into the world? How can I be effective in the world? How can I be a person that gives without expectations of how people receive it or what I get in return? So that's the journey that I've been on. And funny enough, David, uh, I wrote the book, and some people have loved it. I'm so grateful that the response. I kind of feel like I haven't done enough promotion of it yet, so I might kind of ramp that up after the start of the year. Um, but it literally is what God is having me walk through right now. He's like, okay, you wrote a book about it, Mr. Big Shot. How about we go through it now? And so I'm learning more and more about this journey that I need to be on, where I say, okay, God, it's up to you. My life is up to you. It's not up to me. It's not up to me to tell you how my life should be. And it honestly, I mean, that sounds beautiful and really super spiritual, but it feels like dying. It feels it, it feels like the concept of dying to self. Jesus came to show us how to die, and I think this is
Right.
all wrapped up in that idea of how to die to thinking that my way has to be the way it is, learning how to die to my agenda, learning how to die to my thinking of how other people should be living their lives, because then my life will be better as a result, of course. Um, yeah, so that's where I'm at on that. So thank you for asking.
Yeah. 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 Well, I think, that's a journey we all mm, experience because of this whole idea of letting go and realizing me at 63 and a half years old that um, I know I can't control it, and there are times I have to remind myself. You slip back into that thing of trying to hold on, and you can't, and you need to just put it into God's hands and know that you are in God's hands, and that it will go the way it needs to go, and you'll get through it. But thank you for sharing that. Thank you. I also see that on your website, marksmeeby.com, that you're very generous in allowing for people to simply download the PDF form of your book.
Perfect.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so, and that's wonderful. That's a gift that you are giving to folks. So I encourage everybody to take that opportunity and do that, or actually buy the book. That would even be better. So
Whatever
yeah.
you're able
So
to do is great. I want to put things out there to help people, to be resources for people.
mhm,
Um, but I know it's a lot of people don't have money sitting around for that kind of stuff. So if
right,
if somebody
right.
needs something or wants something, um, just send me an email to let me know, and we'll figure out something. But I have to say, David, I love that you said 63 and a half, because that's like what like a 5-year-old would say. I'm 5 and a half. Like it's just there's a youthful beauty to that. Like
Uh-huh.
oh, what am I? What's my fraction? Like if we started using fractions like little kids, I think that would just be a joy sparking endeavor.
Well, ask me in a couple of months. I'll be 63 and 5/8 or something like that. So
That's funny.
yeah, yeah. So well, this has been fun talking with you, Mark, and I appreciate your taking the time to share your thoughts with us. Um, we do feel you are a part of the St. Luke's family, and we're always happy to have you with us. I wish this could be something we could all be a part of at the church, and we could be able to connect and shake hands and hug and do all those things. But we have to settle for our cyber connections right now. So we'll look forward to having you at St. Luke's uh, when we get through this pandemic. And I think the light is at the end of the tunnel. We just need to hold on a little bit longer. We'll get through it. Um, but I wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a joyous New Year.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for your ministry, for your music, and for your words of hope.